this is a continuation from yesterday's Bloodhound workshop where these signals were generated in Bloodhound. And so for today, we'll pick up the BlackBird portion of it, and we'll just look at setting up the entry orders here. So yeah, see, short entry, and let's see where. Oh, maybe I missed this part here. Oh, yes, I did. Okay. Order settings. There we go. All right. So, yes, we're going to take these signals from Bloodhound, and they do generate a lot of signals, a lot of continuous signals, right, one after another. And so we can see here that on the entry there, all right, so we have an entry here that's on the first bar, and then we have another second entry on the second bar here. So there we go. All right, and then we have the trailing, a stop loss trailing roll, basically, is what this is. All right, so yesterday, actually no, this trailing is just using the high and low of the bars. So yeah. All right, so let's work through this piece by piece and get this all built out. So I have the indicators on here from the Bloodhound signal part. So if I scroll up, let's see here. Yeah, so if we look at the Bloodhound signal part, right, the Bloodhound logic is using the AMA ATR trailing stop, and it's using an EMA 30. So I just put that on here on the chart here just for continuity purposes there. So, all right, so let's get BlackBird up and running. So we're going to go into the strategies window here. All right, and inside the Shark Indicators folder, there is BlackBird. So we'll add BlackBird, and we just need to enable it and click OK. We're good to go, and just let it load up. All right, there we go. So now we got BlackBird loaded. All right, so we're going to use the order settings button down here to place our order settings into BlackBird to set things up. All right. So let's scroll this down here. All right, so there. All right, so I guess let's see. So the first thing, actually, let's add in the Bloodhound signals for the first part there. So to do that, to add in your Bloodhound signals, right, we're going to go up here to Signals, choose Bloodhound Signal, and then click on the drop-down menu, and we need to load the Bloodhound template file here. So we're going to click on the three dots button here. It's called an ellipses button. There we go. And so it opens up the familiar Bloodhound interface, and we can go to File. And there is yesterday's Bloodhound workshop file. So we're going to select that. And next, we're going to select the Logic tab and just take a quick look at the Logic template, right? So this is the so this is the Logic template here for these rules here that we built. And the reason why we want to take a look at the Logic template is just to make sure everything's connected up correctly. Right? It's always a good practice to take a look at all the leaders here and make sure things are connected up correctly. Right, because it's very easy to maybe leave it connected something like this, where you might have been doing some testing of your solvers and you left it connected like that by accident, right? So you always want to make sure that things look like it's connected up in its final state for generating the signals properly. So all right, so everything looks good, so we're going to click OK. Next thing is go to our entry signal template and choose the logic template that we want. So, right, so there you go. So there's the signals there for this question, and there we go. So there we have it. All right. Now that we have the Bloodhound signals set up, now we can start setting up our orders here. So all right, now we can scroll down here. All right, so on the first bar, let's see here. So I'm just trying to get the name here. Let's see, this question was from, where'd it go? There we go. Corinne. Yeah, that's right, Corinne. So, all right, so Corinne is using the auto select here, which really doesn't seem necessary, but I guess it's okay to use the auto select for the entry order here. And what the auto select does is that allows BlackBird to automatically calculate whether a stop entry order or a limit entry order is more appropriate, right? Based on the price, the entry order price that's being calculated here. So let's see here. Oh, okay. Actually, I see here. So, all right. Yeah. So Corinne wants to place the order at wherever the current market is, whatever the last price is. So I'm guessing this is an attempt to maybe minimize slippage or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure what the reasoning might be to set the entry order at the last price. But all right, that makes sense now. Yeah, I was thinking this was going to be using the bar higher, bar low, as we're doing down here. So for the stop loss, it's using the bar higher, low. So yeah, sorry, I was thinking, that for the entry is going to be the same thing. Yeah, because our second bar, the second entry order to be placed on the second bar is using, right, the low price or the high price. Yeah. So all right, but the first entry order, it's going to use the last price. All right, so let's go in here, and so to use the auto select, we need to pick either a limit or a stop entry. So I'll just go with the limit. So we need to start with something, and then we can open this up and then check the automatic, right? So this automatic order type, right? So that's what's wanted, right? So the automatic order type selection allows BlackBird to determine whether it should be a stop or a limit entry order. All right, and then for the initial placement, that is going to go at the last price. There we go, the last price. Right, so the last price, well, that is NinjaTrader's last price. So if you're not sure what the last price is, then then you should check NinjaTrader's documentation to understand what the definition of the last price is. So somewhere in NinjaTrader's documentation, they explain what the last price is. So all right, so we've got that set up, and let's see. So we're going to take the last price and apply an offset to it. All right, so if it's a long trade, we're going to add 3 ticks here. All right, so let's go back into our initial placement here. So there's the last price, and then we're going to set a positive 3 ticks offset. All right, so let's see here. Let's take a look at the chart. So if for example, well, there could be a signal generated on this bar, but definitely on this bar here where this wick breaks through the EMA, that's definitely going to have a signal, a bunch of these here. So if this bar here generated a signal, if it was the first bar generating this signal, right? And we can see that this bar closed up. So approximately the last price is going to be up here, right? Because this is a range bar. So the last price is going to be approximately up here, right? So one tick higher. And then BlackBird is going to add 3 ticks to, you know, whatever the last price is that it captures. And it's going to add 3 ticks. So that means so if this is a long Bloodhound signal that's generated, it's going to take the last price, which will be around here somewhere, add 3 ticks to it. So that is now, let's see, 1, there we go. So 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be approximately the top of this bar here is going to be approximately the entry order price. So since this price is above the market, right, BlackBird would place a stop entry up here, right? So just to kind of walk through, you know, a scenario here, and just to, you know, kind of figure it out in our head to see, you know, what to expect. Yeah, this is what we could expect if this from this long entry signal here. So, all right. So once we get finished setting things up and we click OK on the BlackBird interface, then we'll be able to get the Bloodhound signals on the chart here. But let's finish setting up our orders first, right? And then we'll get the Bloodhound signals on this chart here. All right, let's see. So what else do we need to look at? All right, so we have some pretty detailed information here from Corinne. So this is to be placed immediately, and there is a cancel. So basically if this, you know, so looking at this scenario over here on the chart, if this is a stop entry, if it does not get picked up within five bars, then we're going to cancel that entry order, right? So let's open this up, open up our entry order again, go to the cancel after, and we're going to enable bars, and we can see the default setting is 5 bars. So this is telling BlackBird, you know, cancel this entry order if 5 bars go by, and obviously if it's not filled, then the order can get canceled, right? But if the entry order gets filled, well, you can't cancel it because it's been filled, right? So you can't cancel an order that has already been filled. So, all right. So that is the entry order on our first bar, and we don't have any profit targets on this. So yeah, so this order set and also the second order set for entering on the second bar, those are both what's called runners. So that just means no profit target, but it's going to use a trailing stop loss here. Yeah, so let's move on to the trailing stop loss here. All right, so for the trailing stop loss, let's see. All right, so it's going to be using, all right, so if it's a long trade, then, you know, obviously it must be using the bar low to place the stop loss. And there is an offset here. All right, yeah. And it's just using, so this look back period, well, actually, let's open this up here so everybody can see. All right. Hold on. Well, we got too many windows in the way, so let's try and squeeze this up a little bit here. There. All right, so we're going to go into the stop loss here, and I'm going to use the, let's see, actually, since this has trailing here, I'm going to go down to the trailing, and we have a previous bar low high trailing here. Yeah, so actually this is actually backwards. So yeah, well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. So actually these instructions are phrased in terms of a short entry. Yeah, so if you're going short, then yeah, you would set your stop loss at the high of the bar. So all right, so let's open this up and let's get into the initial placement. And so for a long, we're going to use the low of the bar. So the look back period is set to 1, right? So that just means that it's going to be using the low of the most recent bar, right? So let's take a look at the right edge of our chart, right? So if this generated a short signal, then it would use the low of the closed bar here. Right. So if this bar is basically still building, then then what NinjaTrader uses is the closed bar. So it'd be using the high of the closed bar there. So that's what a look back period of 1 means. So if you use a look back period of 2, then basically it's going to look back 1 additional bar. It's going to look back 2 bars and use the low of 2 bars ago. All right, and of course that's all depends on the look back mode here. So, all right, so let's set that back to 1, and then we have an offset here of. Let's see. So for a long, it says plus 2 ticks. Again, I think this is actually backwards. Yeah, if you're long, you probably don't want to take the low and then add 2 ticks, right? That's gonna put your stop loss higher. And yeah, and that could definitely create some problems here. And that, yeah, so maybe this mistake here is probably it's probably going to be an answer to one of these questions about getting a an error message from NinjaTrader here. So anyways, we'll get back to that later here. So we're going to make some adjustments here, right? So if in a long trade, we're going to say minus 2 ticks, right? So that way the stop loss is 2 ticks below the low of the bar. And if it's a short, we're going to adjust that to a positive 2 ticks. So let's open this up again. So for our initial placement, we're going to set this to minus 2 ticks, like so. All right. So the stop loss is going at the bar low, minus 2 ticks. Now, this is always going to be the bar low that the order gets filled on. All right. So if this entry order, if it takes a couple of bars to get filled, well, the stop loss is going to use the low of the closed bar that filled the order. All right, so just to be clear on that. So, all right. So we have our initial placement. So now we can go into the trailing here and make any adjustments that we need here. Oh, let's see. So, all right, so a trigger. All right, so Corinne would like to basically delay the stop loss trailing by 1 bar. So we're going to go into the trigger here. And let's see, we're on the basics tab. Yep. And we're going to hit delay. enable the bars and just set this down to 1 bar. All right. So all this simply does is it tells BlackBird, okay, when the entry order gets filled, wait for at least 1 bar to close and go by, and then you can start trailing the stop loss. All right, and then next we're going to go into the action. So the action is what determines the new stop loss price, right? So action, calculates the new price where the stop loss is going to get moved to. All right. So we have move to, and if we open up this menu, right? Again, we can see if we're in a long trade, we're using the low of the bar, and it's going to be the current closed bar, and we also want to put in that negative 2 ticks there. All right, let's see here. So action, yep. So we're going to move to the bar high or low, and we have our offsets. So Corinne wants to use, again, a look back period of 1. And then the repeat, so Corinne wants this trailing rule to keep trailing up every bar. So that means the repeat is just set to indefinitely, right? And of course, once per bar. So, and that does it. No, that does it. So, okay, so now that we have the stop loss set up, we can now create the entry order, that gets created on the second bar, right? So what I'm going to do is on my second order set here, I'm going to go to copy from and copy A, right? And so what that does is that copies the same stop loss trailing rules here, right? So both of these stop losses are the same because they were right. Because B was copied from A. So simple enough, right? So now we just need to adjust the entry order. So now, so it looks like we're still going to use the auto select for the entry order, and then it's going to be 2 ticks below the low. Let's see, 2 ticks below the low if it's a short order, if it's a short entry. All right, so let's open up our entry order here, go into the initial placement, and so if the short is using the low, then the long trade is going to use the high. There we go, there's the high. And so 2 ticks below the low. All right, so that would be 2 ticks above the high, right? So if we look at the short trades, it's using the low, and we have a minus 2 ticks. We're 2 ticks below the low for a short trade. All right, I think that does it. Let's see. Yeah, we also have the cancel after 5 bars. So, right, since we made a copy of A, that cancel after was copied over as well, and that's set to 5 bars there. Let's see, and all right, that should do it. Let's see. Oh, no, so we need one more thing. So this says from the second bar. So to make sure that, right, order B is placed on the second bar, we need to use the place after. So we're going to set this to a delay. So the trigger type is a delay, right? Basically, we want a 1 bar delay, right? So order A gets placed on the first bar with the signal, and then order B gets placed on the second bar right after that Bloodhound signal comes in. All right, let's see, that should do it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, one thing to note here is that these entry orders are not going to cancel on the same bar, right? So order A, right? It's going to cancel on cancel after the fifth bar when it was placed, right? So the cancel after, it's going to start counting one bar sooner than order B, right? Because order B gets placed one bar later. So these cancelings, so order A is going to cancel first, and then order B, if it doesn't get filled, it's going to wait a bar because it started counting one bar later, and it'll cancel one bar later. All right. So just a little side note there. And all right, I think that does it. I think that's everything. So let's click OK and stretch the chart out again a little bit. And let's see. All right. So in order to get the Bloodhound indicator on the chart here, we're going to reload the chart, right? And that allows NinjaTrader to place the Bloodhound's indicator on the chart. There we go. And next, let's select the logic template that, for the entry signals there. There we go. All right. And yeah, so we missed a bunch of long entry signals there. Let's see. Oh, and we need to turn on the auto enable button here to allow BlackBird to automatically take the trades. And so I'm just wondering how if I could force another long entry signal here. Let's see. Yeah, this is gonna flip directions here. All right. Well, yeah. You know what? This isn't live market, but this is like a delayed live market data feed, and live market data feeds never want to work with you. So I'm gonna just disconnect the live data feed here. And let's connect up our simulated data feed. There. All right. So let's enable our BlackBird again. There we go. And I'm going to select the entry signals that I want to see on the chart. There we go. And let's enable this. And all right, I think, if I pull this down, I think we're going to get a signal on this next bar here. All right, come on. There we go. All right, so we can see this is a stop entry. Yeah, it was a stop entry, right? Placed down here, waiting for the market to basically continue on down. So, let's pull the market down here a little bit and just watch this play out. All right, so this is order A here. We can see on the name that this is order A. All right, that got placed on the first bar of the signal. And there we go. And so actually order B, that happened so quickly. Order B got filled instantly, basically. Yep. And so now we can see the stop losses are trailing down here. Like so. Right. So the stop losses are basically taking the bar high, because this is a short trade, so we're taking the bar high and then adding 2 ticks to it. Right. So, all right, well, there we go. Let's see. I'll move the trend up here. Yeah, since this is really the only emailed in question I've got, we'll play around and test out a long signal here. All right, so just gonna wait for the market to move up, and yeah, wait for the market to move up. Wait for the ATR trailing stop indicator to flip directions, and then we can generate some long signals here. So while we're waiting on that, let me take a look at the Q&A window here. See if there's any quick questions I can answer. Let's see, Anonymous. All right, so Anonymous is asking, can BlackBird be used to optimize strategy of Bloodhound and its inputs? No, it cannot. So, let's see here. Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me get back to that question. Let's cancel these orders. Yeah, sorry. So we had some more short signals here generated. Let's see. All right, so our indicators flip directions here. So, all right, I'm just going to let one more bar close, and then I'm going to pull the market down, which will start generating some long signals here. Okay, so while we're waiting for the market to pull back to the EMA 30, that'll generate some long signals. So while we're waiting on that, let me continue here. Anonymous's question about, can BlackBird optimize strategy, or basically inputs of Bloodhound? And no, NinjaTrader is not capable of doing that. NinjaTrader uses, basically static inputs. And as you can see with Bloodhound, everything is dynamic, right? With Bloodhound, you can change indicators that you want to use on the fly, making it a dynamic indicator. And NinjaTrader just, NinjaTrader's optimizer cannot work with dynamic changing settings like that. Yeah, so their optimizer doesn't have the interface to be able to change on the fly. So yeah, that's what's needed if you want to optimize your indicator settings within Bloodhound, right? You need an interface that can dynamically update just like Bloodhound can. So all right. Let's see here. Let's focus on these signals here in the entry orders. So there we go. So let's see. Actually, let me neutralize this. I'm a little nervous that our indicators might flip directions here. So right. So on the first bar of the long signal, right, order A was placed. And so we can see it was placed, let's see, what was it? It took the last price and then added 2 ticks. Yeah, so there you go. That's what BlackBird calculated. And then order B, let's see, order B, took the low of the prior bar. Yeah, low of the prior bar. Let's see, so low of the prior bar, 2 ticks below the low of the prior bar. That's right. So this is for a short. So it was taking the prior bar high, then adding 2 ticks. Yeah, so it took this bar high and then added 2 ticks. All right. Yeah, so there we go. And there we go. So 5 bars went by and order B was never filled and BlackBird just canceled it. So, okay. Yeah, so there we go. So let me, this is a really, oh, yeah, and I guess this is good to note here, that, you're right, so this Bloodhound logic, as we can see, it generates, it can generate a lot of continuous signals here. So once BlackBird is flat, it's going to place you back into a trade again here, right? So just be mindful of that BlackBird is doing what it's told. So if Bloodhound is saying, hey, here's another trade signal, then BlackBird's going to put you back into another trade once the position is flat. All right. So if you don't want that, then you need to take better control of your Bloodhound signals. Right. So the way to prevent kind of trading within the same area is you need to let's see, what's a good word? Control your Bloodhound signals better. You need to set up your Bloodhound signals better so that you're only seeing signals literally where you want them. Right. So, let's take a look back here. Yeah, see here, so when price basically is kind of consolidating around the EMA 30, right, we can see we're just getting this continuous, string of signals, all continuous in a row here. Yeah. And so if you don't want that behavior, then you just need to basically take control over your Bloodhound signals and prevent Bloodhound from doing that. So, so anyways, all right. I just mentioned that because quite often people think that BlackBird will pick and choose which Bloodhound signals to take, but it's not the job of BlackBird to pick and choose what Bloodhound signals to take. Right? That's the job of Bloodhound to pick and choose where to put a trade signal, right? So so BlackBird is not, BlackBird is the wrong place to be picking and choosing what Bloodhound signals to trade from, right? So Bloodhound is the appropriate component to control, when you get a trade signal. All right, so I think we're done with this. So let me just save this out, and then we can start going through and answering some of these other questions here. All right, so let's save this out. Probably trying to figure out a good name is sometimes harder than actually setting up the software. All right, there we go. There's a name. Definitely a very long name, but hopefully it should give us a little reminder of everything that's going on here. So, all right, so this is using a Bloodhound signal, right? And so this is the Bloodhound file name, and then a little note, a little reminder of the logic template, right? We're using the EMA 30 pullback logic template. So, and the entry orders, A is using the auto, and it's using the last with a 3-tick offset. Order set B is also using the auto select, but it's using the high and low of the bar with a 2-tick offset. And then there's no profit target. And the stop loss, right, is using the bar low or high with a 2-tick offset. And also and it also has trailing. There we go. All right, so let's save that out. There we go. All right, So let's finish answering the rest of these questions here, and then I'll get back to the Q&A window here. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here's kind of the first question to tackle here. So so it says only signal if position is flat. So right. So this was a part of the Bloodhound logic. So again, just to remind everybody, because this is a very common mistake that people make with NinjaTrader, which is right. Since this is the Bloodhound portion, indicators don't have any knowledge of a market position, right? So NinjaTrader does not allow indicators to be able to read if there is a position open or not. All right. So in other words, NinjaTrader does not allow BlackBird to communicate back to Bloodhound if there is a position open or not. Right. So so only generate a signal when the position is flat is not possible with an indicator. Right. So because of that, BlackBird and Raven actually are designed to operate basically this way, right? So as you've noticed, right, there are a bunch of continuous Bloodhound signals, right? But you never saw BlackBird place a bunch of continuous entry orders, right? So BlackBird is not stacking orders on top of themselves, right? It's not continuously filling up your chart with a bunch of entry orders. So, and that's by design. So, so by design, if you go into the options here, let's see. Oh no, I was thinking of something else here. So, so by design, BlackBird is not going to keep adding more positions on when there's additional Bloodhound signals. So BlackBird is going to wait for its position to be flat. So we can actually see over here on the control panel, BlackBird is now flat. And so if another Bloodhound signal comes in, which it looks like it will here shortly. Yeah, it looks like another Bloodhound signal is going to generate here. So, but now that BlackBird's flat, it'll now execute, another set of orders here, right? So, but in the options here, there actually is one option that has some kind of an influence, over the trade signals here. So this opposite signals force reversal trades, right? So that is on. So what that means is, right? So let's take a look at these short trades here. Right. So let's say, BlackBird executed some short orders here. Right. And so if those short positions were still open and then Bloodhound generated these long signals, right? So with this enabled, right, BlackBird's going to close out the short trades and then reverse to a long trade with this enabled. So if you want the short trades to play out and you want BlackBird to wait until it's flat before it starts executing long signals, then you can turn this off. And so simply put, BlackBird needs to wait for the position to be flat before it'll take signals in the opposite direction. Right. So, but that is on by default there. So, yeah. So, all right. So, all right. So there's that. Yeah, that was the first question there. So yeah, scroll down here and take a look at these questions one at a time. All right, yeah, so this first one is basically changing the entry order type. All right, so if Corinne would like to basically enter a trade using a market order, using the same trailing stop loss, do I need to set up a separate order settings to do so? Yes, you do. So as you can see, right, your entry orders basically need to be predetermined, right? You can't change these on the fly, right? So just as with if you're using an ATM, right, you can't adjust those on the fly. You have to, select whether you're going to use a limit entry order or a market entry order, right, ahead of time. So, so you would have to, basically go into these, set these to market type, set the type to market for both A and B, and then save it out as a different file, right? Save it out as a different file name there. And so you would have two different files with the two different order types. Or, if you have plenty of time, if you do have plenty of time to open up BlackBird and change this manually, it depends on your trading style. If you're scalping, then you may not have enough time to go in here and let's see here. I can just go in here and switch this to market. Go in here and disable that, switch it to market, right? And then click OK. And then the next time a trade goes on, those are going to be market orders. And then if you want to flip back to the auto select, let's see here. I wanted to point out here that when the entry order is a market, that the initial placement is disabled, right? Because obviously a market order is just wherever the market's at. So you can't set an initial placement, right? You can't set a price. So, but if I enable this automatic order type, you can see BlackBird had remembered the initial placement. So you didn't have to set up the initial placement. All I had to do was just enable the, just check the automatic, right, the auto order type here. And the initial placement was automatically set back up. And so if I go to order A, if I enable the automatic order type, again, right, the initial placement pops back up exactly the way it was, right? So so these settings are remembered once they're set up the first time. They are remembered, and then you can just go in here and make a quick adjustment and move it to a market, right? So if you do have enough time to do that, well, there you go. That's how you can flip back and forth between a market and some other order type, some other entry order type, right? So that is possible there, but otherwise, right, if the markets are moving really fast and you're getting into trades really quickly and you don't have enough time to change this, then you would need to have two Blackbirds, one set up with the auto select and the other Blackbird running the market entry orders, right? And then with that, you could just use the enable and disable button here to turn which Blackbird on and off that you want to use to trade with. All right, and so question number 2 basically is kind of a continuation of question number 1 here. So can both order settings, the auto select or stop limit and market be both displayed on the control panel? So no, as you can see, there is no There is no location for that. This capability is, we have plans for it, but it is a major overhaul of BlackBird to get this incorporated. So that is way in the distant future before BlackBird would have the ability to be able to load basically multiple configurations at the same time. So we've kind of thought this through, where you could set up multiple configurations within BlackBird, and then be able to pick and choose which configuration you want to choose from. It's kind of like Ninja's Ninja's chart trader here. If I enable the chart trader, right, you can pick and choose which ATM you want. And right, ATM is basically a configuration. So it's kind of like basically what you're doing here with BlackBird, right? You're setting up a configuration. So to be able to have multiple configurations here in here, obviously, pretty much anything's possible with software, but it does require a major overhaul of both the user interface, but also the back end as well. So the back end, so it's not a simple task. So maybe many years down the road we'll get around to doing that. But for now, it says here, or do I have to enable 2 BlackBird strategies to do this? Yeah. So for now, you would need to load, have 2 BlackBirds running to be able to switch between 2 different configurations quickly. So, all right. Okay. And then the third question here: can 2 BlackBird strategies be enabled on the same chart window? Not currently. So, as of now, no, you can only run 1 BlackBird on a chart at a time. So recently, let's see here. Yeah, I don't want to show my about. I don't want to reveal my license key, but basically NinjaTrader recently made some changes to the back end of the chart, and that broke basically BlackBird's ability to run 2 BlackBirds on the chart at the same time. Yeah, so it's going to take us some time to figure that out. So, because NinjaTrader doesn't provide any help, on what they did to the back end there. So for now, you can only run 1 BlackBird per chart. So if you do add a second BlackBird on the chart, basically the chart kind of goes haywire. All right, some extra some extra cells open up on the chart, and it just kind of messes up the chart. So for now, it's only 1 BlackBird on the chart for now. So, all right. Let's see here. So, so to continue, question number 3 here: can 2 BlackBird strategies be enabled on the chart? For example, basically this is all kind of like one continuous question here. So for example, Corinne would like to be able to quickly switch to using the stop or limit auto select, or maybe the market entries. So for now, you need to have 2 charts open. 2 charts open, just side by side, to do that. And let's see. All right. Question number 4. So when Corinne is running this, and you can see I actually haven't received any of these messages here, but it sounds like Corinne is getting this. Stop price can't be changed below the market. Affected order is right the buy to cover, which would be the stop loss, right? So this is the stop loss. Yeah. So if you tell BlackBird to move the stop loss to the wrong side of the market, you'll receive these messages, which they're not error messages. They're just notifications telling you, hey, you tried to move the stop loss to an invalid price. That's all it's doing. So, and also, it's our understanding that only NinjaTrader produces this notification when you're using this simulated account, right? So if you're trading live on a live account, your broker does not generate this message for you. Your broker just moves the stop loss. The exchange just says, okay, fill the stop loss, and you're done. So why NinjaTrader, is throwing this notification up, we don't know. It's awful annoying. There have been many, many requests to NinjaTrader to have a way to turn these messages off because they are very annoying, and most brokers, if you're trading live, brokers don't throw up this message. So, there's, really NinjaTrader has to find some kind of solution to this. But this is also letting you know, though, that, don't take this as just being annoying, but it's also providing important information to let you know that, hey, in your trailing stop loss settings, you're telling BlackBird to move your stop loss, to a invalid location, right, to the wrong side of the market. So, so it is telling you that you probably are moving, one of your stop loss trailing rules is set incorrectly, because you're moving the stop loss to the wrong side of the market. And so if you remember earlier, I had made adjustments to this, right? So originally this said for a long trade, remember it said plus 2 ticks. So it was 2 ticks, 2 ticks above the low price, or I don't know, maybe it was 2 ticks above the high price. So of course that would be absolutely the wrong place to move your stop loss, would be 2 ticks above the high. So, or even if it, so remember, this used to be a positive 2 ticks for a long, it was plus 2 ticks. So even if it was 2 ticks above the low price, or if you're using range bars like this, well, yeah, that could easily move the stop loss to an invalid location, depending on the market, right? So some markets move so fast that price could move, the markets could have moved past this 2 ticks, above the low before BlackBird even had a chance to calculate that price and send that order to your broker. So just keep in mind that volatility in the markets is constantly increasing every year. Volatility is picking up in the markets, and the volatility of the markets is moving faster than the NinjaTrader and your computer can keep up with. So by the time you receive the data from your broker and all the calculations are being done, by NinjaTrader and BlackBird and Bloodhound, that the markets could have moved, and by the time the new stop loss price gets transmitted back to your broker, the market has already moved past that price, and so you're putting the stop loss in a invalid location, right? So I think question number 4 was coming from basically these offsets being incorrect. Originally it was it was plus 2 ticks and minus 2 ticks. So for a short, it was minus 2 ticks. And so I corrected that so that the stop loss would not be in the wrong location, right? So far, yeah, we haven't seen any of those, any of these, stop loss notifications here. And actually, let's just take a quick, let's see here. Take a look. No, yeah, I don't have any notification windows open on my NinjaTrader, so yeah, we're all good. So far, so good. Yeah. All right, so that's the fourth question. And then here's, basically a new set of questions here about, so this is about the chart, scaling, down, I guess you'd say, or squishing the scaling here when moving, when he moves a profit target here. So let's see here. Let's let's just take a short. All right, let's get that filled. All right. So what he's talking about, right, is if you manually move one of your stop loss or your profit target, right? We can see that, right? I can keep moving this stop loss up, and right, the chart scales down automatically. And you can see it works fine on my charts. In all of our testing, it works fine. But apparently, there are some indicators out there or tools that's causing the charts to squish really, really fast, like this. Like before you know it, your chart's going to squish like that, right? With your as you try and move your stop loss or profit target, further out. So I know Trade the Plan software is creating this kind of fast scaling problem here. But, as you can see, normally, under normal conditions, scaling things up and down is not a problem. There we go. So, all right. So I really have to work at it to get my chart to scale here. But if you are running something on your chart that's causing the chart to really scale down very quickly, well, there's two simple solutions to that. The fastest one is all you gotta do is just lock the scaling in like so. All right. So if you see that F on there, that means the scaling is fixed, and so now I can no longer, I can no longer scale the chart down anymore. It's fixed, right? So that'll prevent, the chart from scaling really fast. But also, let's see. Also, where is it? Here we go. Also, in the dynamic planner docking panel here, there's a chart scaling. So here, let's do this. Right. There we go. So we can see, right, my chart's going to scale for me, right? Now, if I turn the chart scaling to off, now NinjaTrader is going to ignore my order flags, and it's no longer going to scale that chart anymore, right? So there's two ways you can do that, right? You can permanently turn the chart scaling off, or if you want to leave the chart scaling on, you can just quickly lock the scaling here by just dragging the price axis, right? So if you just drag the price axis, that locks it, and you're good to go. And it looks like we're done. All right, I think we're done with all this.